from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Welcome to peak pole qualifying, and we are currently in segment 1, group 2 of knockout qualifying. Group 1 has already completed, and we have 6 from that. I'm Bob Jenkins, along with Robbie Buell and Jan Beekes up in the booth, Lindy Thaxton, Robbie Floyd down on pit lane, and Jack Arute in the IZOD Performance Pit Center. We have less than 5 minutes to go in this Group 2 session. Currently, Scott Dixon is the fastest in this session. Second is EJ Viso, then Alex Lloyd, Ryan Hunter-Reay, Simona Di Silvestro, and Bertrand Baguette. Some names up there that you don't often see at the top of the qualifying. It's good to see those guys making a show here in Edmonton.
And part of why that's created some opportunities for some names getting to that top 6 group is the Group 1 in segment 1 was kind of heavily loaded with the whole Penske team for 1 all the way down, so created some opportunity.
Here's a guy who is second fastest for KV Racing Technology. That is EJ Viso, currently in second.
First of the hot dogs, you would call it, from this group that have gone to the red sidewall Firestones. Now, everyone in Group 1, Session 1, had to go to the reds to try and transfer. You just saw Scott Dixon pull on the pit road. He may have a time that he can do on blacks and save it, but for Viso, he's flying, has a great lap going here. Should be a 101.7 for Viso, putting him up at the top once he gets it completed.
How about that? This is Alex Lloyd, who is also in the top 6 here. Now, remember, in knockout qualifying, it's not necessarily good to be among the very fastest during these early sessions, but you don't want to be among the slowest. And Tony Kanaan is already out of this session. We'll talk about that in just a moment as we continue to look at Alex Lloyd.
Slowest corner on the racetrack there. Then, Robbie, this really gets your attention through here.
It sure does, because you want to get off at turn 9. Losing on that straightaway, it's about 110 miles an hour through their 4th gear, down to a big braking zone there, left-hander turn 10. Simona sitting in the 5th spot right now, so good enough to transfer. We know that's all going to jump around here in the last 3 minutes. Lindy?
Well, Simona's team is using the man-to-beat Will Power as an example. Michael Cannon, the HBM strategist, told her before she went out, he said, Will went out, he did not abuse his tires, he waited until the right time. He said it's a matter of taking care of the tires, not trying to set a fast lap immediately. And those were the last words she heard, guys, before she went out there for round 1 of this qualifying session.
Just about 2 minutes to go.
Up on pit road, let me tell you, with 2 minutes to go, Bob Jenkins, Scott Dixon is sitting in his car with a set of the red alternates on, sticker reds as they are. He is trying desperately not to go and use these reds. Now, we saw this in the first session as Simona Di Silvestro goes to P1. About this time in the first session is when, as they say, all hell broke loose on pit road and everybody went to reds. Dixon, they call him the Iceman. We're just going to have to wait and see if he's got nerves of steel today.
Perhaps we should talk about those who are not in the top 6 right now. Marias Andretti. Alex Lloyd is now down in the red zone. Bertrand Baguette and Dan Weldon. Thomas Schechter moves into the 6th position.
And that was just a shot of Michael Cannon, who is the engineer for Simona. And when you talk about managing the tires, the Firestone Reds, they kind of peak at a certain moment where there's about 3 really happy, good laps you get from the car. So how you bring the tires up to temperature and pressure, just as they told Simona, is don't get out there and lean on them too hard. Just kind of ease into them, have them build comfortably so you have a balance. And she threw down a good lap that's going to get her in a spot to transfer here with only 1 minute left, guys.
Mario Marias is in 7th spot, looking to bump himself in, and Marco Andretti is in 8th position. As you take a look at the fastest, Simona Di Silvestro there in the upper right. This is Marco Andretti. The front stretch here at Edmonton down into turn number 1. These are airport runways, or at least the front stretch is a runway, number 21.
Just pound over that curb in turn number 2. You'll do that in qualifying just to try and shortcut, because Marco Andretti is going to need a bit more. He's outside at the moment. His split times are not putting him in the top 6 unless he really picks it up on the second half of this lap.
And the checkered flag is going to come out here, so he will not get another lap. Marco Andretti looking to get in, but it's not looking very good as he heads down toward turn number 11.
Schechter in the 6th spot right now, kind of sitting there sweating it out. Anybody else working anything Jan here with the checkered out?
Mario Marias has got a shot at moving in. He has not completed his lap yet.
There we get a look at Mario on the reds.
His splits are looking good. He's got a shot of bumping Schechter out and moving himself in.
And he has almost a full lap to get the job done.
Coming into turn 10. Second gear left-hander.
Oh, he's lost some speed. He lost some pace. He lost a little pace back in the 9-10. It looked like he was up on the time, and he's lost it a bit. Unless he has a great turn 11 and 12, he may not make it.
And here he comes to the stripe. It's right before pit in. There it is.
And he did not make it.
By three, that was 31 hundredths of a second. Wow.
Simona Di Silvestro ends up P1 in segment 1, group 2. Nice job for Simona. Ryan Hunter-Reay, Dixon, Viso, Muto, and Schechter advance. Let's take a look at segment 1.
We expected Will Power to be the man, and you heard Lindy Thaxton talk about managing tires, and he certainly set the mark early. But look at his teammate, Ryan Briscoe, using the curbs also on the blacks early on, putting out some very stout time. Now, the fastest car of the Penske stable early was Castro Neves. We speculated his time was so fast that maybe he wouldn't need the reds, but when you had guys like Rafael Matos go out on reds and go nearly a second faster, then all of a sudden everyone went to reds, including Paul Tracy. But unfortunately, Paul Tracy did not advance, did not get up to speed. A big shock. And in this group, never even got to see Tony Kanaan complete a full lap, hit something. They pulled him back behind the barrier. Short day for Tony Kanaan.
Let's take a look at who advances to round number 2. Will Power, Ryan Briscoe, Castro Neves, Franchitti, Wilson, and Matos from group number 1. And advancing from group number 2, Simona Di Silvestro, the fastest. However, the speed that she turned in during the second group would have only put her 5th among group 1. Ryan Hunter-Reay, Scott Dixon, Viso, Muto, and Schechter are the others that advance to the second segment. Knockout qualifying here at Edmonton, Alberta. And there is Will Power looking for his 5th victory of 2010.
I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. How you become number 1. Say hello to my speed demon. The reason I'm number 1.
This is the comeback story.
They have thrown down the early gauntlet as the team to beat in 2010 by winning the Sao Paulo Indy 300.
Will Power breaks to the front early. When his deal was announced, there were those who said part-time with Penske is better than full-time with some other team. He will open the 2010 season with back-to-back victories. The Aussie Will Power. Power's going to dive to the inside.
He's retaken the lead. They win at the Glen.
Check a flag. Good job there, Sunshine.
His 3rd win of the season. Will Power trying on the outside, and boy, does he get a great pass.
He has dominated the road and street courses in the IZOD IndyCar Series this year.
IZOD IndyCar qualifying on Versus is presented by Peak Performance Products. When you peak, you win. And by IZOD, the official apparel sponsor of the IZOD IndyCar Series, available at Macy's.
Edmonton, Alberta, and City Center Raceway in these taxiways and runways of City Center Airport here in Edmonton. Well, this is a racetrack that is very challenging for the drivers. Now, Dan Weldon did not advance, but earlier we asked him to blindfold himself and take us around, at least draw a map of the track that he'll be racing on tomorrow.
So here I am at Edmonton. Let's hope the National Guard car is good. You go down the main straight. Seems pretty long, but I'm not sure when you're drawing it how long it is. Go into a right-hander that's kind of bumpy over the curbs into turn 4. I always have trouble stopping for this next corner. Into the back section. This is one of my favorite corners, actually. It's a fast right-hander. Down into a heavy braking, turn 10. To 11 and 12. Down where the beacon actually is in qualifying. That's the end. How bad was? It's going the right direction at least.
That was almost perfect. I think he could see out of his left eye. Oh, well.
I like how he said this is where the timeline is, too. As you right, right there. He had that spot on, didn't he?
Here are the rules. We have now moved to round number 2, 12 cars, 15 minutes, and the top 6 will advance to the Firestone Fast 6 and knockout peak hole qualifying. On board with Ryan Hunter-Reay.
See the kickback, especially in these couple corners that Robbie was talking about a moment ago. And coming up to turn 10, again, a bit of a bucking bronco ride.
And another thing, just as we're riding on board here, look at how much pavement if you have, how wide it is. And you say, oh, isn't that great? You can pick so many places on the racetrack. But actually, as a driver, it makes it sometimes tougher because you don't have as many good reference marks. Everything's so wide, you don't have something to trip on.
Let's see if he goes flat here, Robbie. Watch the throttle in the green. Oh, he had to lift just a little bit.
Well, there's that huge bump. You know, right in the middle of that is just a huge bump that unsettles the car. But we've heard from the drivers that if the car's right, they can get through that section, 13, 14, 140 miles an hour flat out if the car's right, the classic driver line.
We remember back to Watkins Glen, and Ryan Hunter-Reay did not transfer to the top 12, and he claimed that there was a really good reason for that, and it involves Milka Duno. He came up on her at an important corner and was not happy with Milka. In fact, had words with her after they came in from the qualifying session.
If you're going to go that slow, you have to. You have to.
Sorry, I didn't see what the
Yeah, but wake up, man. Wake up. You just caused us
I saw you, but I go out.
You didn't see me until I got next to you.
Almost you made me go out.
Milka, if you're going to go that slow, you got to drive your mirrors, hon. I'm sorry. You have to.
I was in Watkins Glen for that, and why he was so mad is actually Ryan had spun earlier, so he got docked his 2 fastest laps. Well, he'd done 2 laps fast enough to transfer, and then on that 3rd lap that he was going to get this done, and we saw it on our computer the lap before. We're like, he's going to hit Milka, and it's going to keep him out. So sure enough, that's what transpired. Kept him out of it.
We might mention that Milka Duno did not qualify. She will start 25th in tomorrow's race. We're giving you an idea of the layout of this place and the fact that, as Robbie said, in some places it is a very, very wide race course.
And right there, that's turn 10. That's 4th gear, almost flat out. Again, very bumpy in sections around here, that being one of them, and then getting power down. And for the fans, you know, they can see a lot of this track from up in the stands, too. So they love that.
Well, it looks like there's some rain off to the north there. Let's hope it doesn't move over the racetrack. Ryan Hunter-Reay is currently 10th out of 12. raced here in 2008. His best start was 13th.
Power's on top of the charts right now. He's got everybody covered by 4/10. We still got a good chunk of time to go, and this is when it gets really fun. As you watch that timing board and you think you're safe, oh good, I'm comfortable in that 6th spot, and then on the last lap, just things can shuffle around if you're not ready for it.
Here's Helio Castroneves, who is currently 3rd quick.
And I gotta say, it's a lot more enjoyable for me watching it here on a monitor than having to be on a pit stand where you actually got some accountability. Here I can just share in the fun for everybody.
Helio's on the primary tires. The black walls, as it were.
And if he's on the blacks and currently showed in 3rd spot, that shows that he's got a car underneath him that he is very comfortable with.
He'll enter the pits. Justin Wilson was very impressive at Toronto last week, sitting on the pole with the primaries. So it's Power, Franchitti, Castroneves, Wilson, Viso, and Di Silvestro at the moment, Jack.
Yeah, Bob, remember now, Scott Dixon is the only driver that made it into the 2nd round that did not have to use a set of reds. Mike Hull, you said that was by the luck of the draw, but now you get to find out just what the reds are worth.
Well, it'll be fun to find out. You know, the way they do the random draw for these 2 sessions that get us to this point is like we had a solar system draw to get into the session we were in, and we were happy to take it, but in a way, it'd be great if the IRL could figure out a way based on lap times for practice or something to make it more equal, so everybody that runs would have a better opportunity to get to the next section, which then leapfrogs you to the final 6. But, you know, we're happy with where we are, and we're getting ready to go again here now, and we'll go on some red tires.
And I don't mean to be the forebearer of doom and gloom, but all we have to do is look up towards the first turn here, see big thunderheads. The reports are that we could have severe lightning and thunderstorms within the next 30 minutes. Does that affect your thinking at all?
Well, how about yours? You're sitting here with all these antennas and everything, standing here with your feet on this timing stand. So, Jack, I'm not so sure about you either.
Yeah, but Mike, I've always been accused of not having enough common sense to come in out of the rain.
No, I mean, we think we'll get the session in. And, you know, it's we've kind of watched the weather. We know it's coming, or we know that it's in the distance. It would be rather ironic that you try to save a red tire set of tires for the final 6, and you'd end up with tires that have knobs on them. But we'll see how it goes here.
Guys, I think it will come into play in this 2nd round. Knowing the weather's there, you might want to use your reds to move to the Firestone Fast 6.
Well, Jack, last week there's a similar situation. Looked like it was going to rain in Toronto, and the rain stayed away from us. Will Power is currently P1 in the 2nd segment of knockout qualifying at Edmonton City Center Raceway in Alberta, Canada.
The desire for racing started when I was kind of racing around the neighborhood with my bicycles, and since I was very young, I was very competitive. One day, my father showed up with a go-kart bought from Bruno Junqueira's father. Everything started for fun, and eventually we took everything more seriously, and I started getting involved in racing championships, and here we are now.
Rafael Matos drives for DeFerrin Dragon Racing. Currently shown in 8th position here in this qualifying session. Dixon, Matos, Briscoe, Muto, Ryan Hunter-Ray, and Schechter among those who have not moved into the top 6 yet.
And if we want to go back to what Jack was saying earlier, right when he was finishing up with Mike Hull, Jack said, hey, if you want to use your reds, get on them right now. And again, the reason being is if that rain does come in, you're going to get out on rain tires. Your reds aren't going to do you any good unless you save them for the race, but at least we'll get you through to that next top 6.
The last 2 races have been his best starts for 2010. He was 11th at both Watkins Glen and Toronto, and he has just moved to P5 here in this segment, so he is in the top 6. Here comes E.J. Viso. He's 6th on the bubble.
140 miles an hour right through here. Right that section. That is a fast combination. Throw some bumps on it, You get all this pavement around you. The guys think, hey, there's no walls. I'll get after it and challenge it in a big way.
Nice job for E.J. Viso. Again, he is elected to really pound that curb in turn number 2. Will Power started doing that last year. Now everyone's taking the power line and just hammering that curb in turn 2.
And an indication that he's got a happy car and something that's confident for him to challenge the corner is when you do hammer that curb, usually that means your suspension, your springs, your shocks, you hit it, the car bounces up in there and settles back down. It gives you confidence to challenge it. If it's not controlling that bouncing around, then you're not going to challenge it.
Scott Dixon trying to get into the top 6. He's currently 9th with about 2 minutes and 30 seconds to go in this segment.
Working a good lap.
Best start here in Edmonton was 4th in both 2008 and 2009.
He should slot in if he pulls this together. He takes P4. Does he get it? 3rd. He had a great turn 11 and 12 and goes to P3 for Dixon.
With just over 2 minutes left.
Ryan Briscoe is currently 4th.
Oh, and that bumps Justin Wilson. Justin Wilson now on the outside looking in.
Both Wilson and Viso have been knocked out. Simona Di Silvestro is 9th. Ryan Hunter-Reay, Muto, and Schechter not in the top 6.
Briscoe, we always ID the Briscoe Penske car because he's got the white end plates, or the white right on top of his rear view mirrors there, mounted on both sides. They're colored in white, so that's just a quick way of IDing the Penske cars of Elio and Briscoe.
Ryan Briscoe was the pole sitter.
Look at Hunter-Reay. Look at Hunter-Reay. He just got in the top 6.
Oh, yeah.
Hunter-Reay has put one in. Wilson's on the outside looking in, but fantastic job because Hunter-Reay was way back until that lap.
Only takes one. Set yourself up, manage your tires, say, okay, I think they're coming in. This is a good time. Don't make mistakes.
1 minute to go. Justin Wilson is 7th.
You can hear him all over the rev.
Oh, yeah.
He's running 3rd gear all through that section. 3rd gear, 3rd gear. Now, this is the slowest corner on the track. Down to 2nd gear. He's struggling to put the power down. You can see him just fighting that wheel. Now, watch the bumps coming through here. Bump, bump, through the hands. Use up all the track. And to lay down, all you need is 1 lap that's fast enough to transfer in this top 6. But the work inside the cockpit, look at him working the wheel to get that 1 lap. You are breathing and working hard.
And his splits are saying that he's only thousandths of a second. It says he's thousandths of a second on the outside looking in. He might not quite be there.
No.
Look at those.
But he's going to have another lap. Just makes it.
Man.
And E.J. Viso gets himself now up into the top 6, bumping Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Like I say, you can think that you're sitting fat and happy, and then all of a sudden you get a quick shuffle in there and go, what happened?
So Ryan Hunter-Reay currently 7th.
Oh, he's got only 2 corners to go.
Traffic in front. Is that going to play a part in this?
Shouldn't hurt
Not
too
right
much.
there.
But again, his splits show 7th. You don't want to see 7, you want to see 6.
And he had the checker. We just saw the checker coming down pit road.
And he will not make it.
Okay, you should have Justin Wilson out on track.
Yep.
Has he got anything to do here? A plus minus or not?
No, he's behind Robbie.
Okay. So EJ's going to be the guy, isn't he?
Yep.
And the 6 spots are transferred. Great.
All right. So it's Will Power, Elio Castroneves, Scott Dixon, Ryan Briscoe, Dario Franchitti, and E.J. Viso, who will move to the Firestone Fast 6. Larry Curry looking on. Here is Scott Dixon coming in. And still, Will Power is at the top of the scoring pylon. Will he be able to win yet another peak pole position? Back in just a moment.
back to Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, where the City Center Airport is now a race course. But guess what? We have got some weather rolling in. The sky is getting dark. We have seen some lightning. It's predicted to come anytime in the next 30 minutes, so we just don't know at this point what is going to happen. We are in the midst of qualifying, about to start the Firestone Fast Six. Alex Tagliani, he's one of two Canadians driving here. Of course, Paul Tracy is the other. Unfortunately, he didn't make the Fast Six, but you're going to hear a lot about him in our pre-race tomorrow. He gave us some pretty good access. As I say, the full thing is tomorrow, but here we want to give you a sneak peek. Take a look.
I will, welcome you inside and show you around and show you where I spend most of my life eating, training, and getting prepared for races.
Well, also in the pre-race, we will give our take on the chassis decision for 2012. We will also talk about the tensions from Toronto, and the seemingly unstoppable Will Power will join me on stage. And speaking of tensions from Toronto and Tagliani and Thomas Scheckter were really the main part of those tensions. They collided there in Toronto, and Tagliani had said that he thought that Scheckter was paying him back for what had actually happened the year before. Robbie Floyd caught up with Alex Tagliani a short time ago, and here's what he has to say about the incident.
What has transpired between yourself and Scheckter since last week?
Look, not much. I went to see him after the race, and I find out what he was all about.
What's that?
That he keeps a grudge for a long time, and his driving is all about the payback. So, as a driver, when you find that out, there's not much to talk about.
There you heard from Tagliani, and of course Thomas Scheckter says in no way was it any retaliation. That's his side of it. Well, here we are about to start the Fast Six here in Edmonton. The weather is rolling in. Will Power still the man to beat here. He's in the Fast Six. The winner here last year, the pole sitter here last year. Stay with us. We're back at Edmonton in just a second.
Here are the drivers in the Firestone Fast Six here in Edmonton. EJ Viso, 6th. Dario Franchitti ended up 5th quick. 3rd, Ryan Briscoe. 2nd quick, Scott Dixon. Helio Castro-Neves, and the fastest of all was Will Power. Here are the pole winners so far in the 2010 season. Will Power with an incredible 5 poles. Now at Toronto, when Justin Wilson sat on the pole, it prevented Team Penske from setting an open wheel record for consecutive poles by a team. Will Power's pole at Watkins Glen tied Dan Gurney's All-American racers with 8 straight poles from St. Pete through Watkins Glen. Robbie?
Well, the KB Racing Technology, they're trying for a pole as well, but they're trying to get in the top 6. Only Takuma Sato from the KB Racing team has made it into a Firestone Fast Six. EJ Viso, his best start this year was St. Pete. That was the ninth position starting spot. But look here, this magic bucket. It's just water with the rag on it. Jackaroo, they were trying to cool down EJ's red tires. They've already used that second set of reds. They're trying to cool down those tires, trying to get a little bit of grip any way possible.
And Robbie Floyd, one thing we know about the Firestone Fast Six, usually it's fast and it's furious. But we're now under the gun, literally and figuratively, over my shoulder. You see the impending weather. Dark, dark, dark clouds, but more importantly, a lot of lightning. It is not gone unnoticed by all of the drivers and the teams that are in this Firestone Fast Six. I think some teams are going to opt, fellas, to lay down a fast lap and then do a rain dance.
We saw a pretty good bolt of lightning just over your right shoulder there, Jack, so you might keep an eye on that. As Mike Hull said, you don't want to be standing there with an antenna on top of your head when it's lightning. All right, well, this all sets up for the Edmonton Indy tomorrow at 5 o'clock Eastern Time as we continue with the IZOD IndyCar Series on Versus. And by the way, our broadcast partner, ESPN and ABC, they are finished for the 2010 season. You are with us. We are with you to the end of the year and the determination of the champion at Homestead Miami Speedway. Well, the clock has started. We got 10 minutes to go to determine who will be on the pole for tomorrow's race.
And you know these guys aren't going to be holding back. As soon as those tires come into that happy window of temperatures and pressures for that guy, Willpower, he's going to be doing everything he can to lay down a lap. And to this point, as we rolled into this top 6, Power had 2/10 on the next fastest car.
And fellas, one of the things that Will Power's done with his team is they've adjusted on the roll centers from the first round. Basically what they're trying to do is compensate, Robbie and Jan, on the changing track conditions. They weren't satisfied with just standing pat. They made some minor tweaks in the suspension area.
Very interesting, and I wouldn't be surprised if they switched to whatever Castro Neves had on his car, because he certainly has seemed as though he has made faster progress. Certainly Will Power put down the times early, but Castro Neves has really been closing that gap.
And part of what you're always trying to do with adjusting the roll centers in the car, it's a function of how it's really allowing that chassis car put the rubber to the pavement. How's it going to get you grip? How's it going to get you hooked up? And that's what we've heard from a lot of the drivers is here, is I really need to get grip. The car's sliding around. How do I get these Firestones to bite into the track?
Now, Will Power has been quoted on multiple occasions saying that he feels this will be the most difficult qualifying of the year. He feels he'll have his strongest competition here.
And he also said part of the success of why he won this race a year ago in that beautiful Hertz, or the Penske yellow a year ago, was due to qualifying. The importance of being on the front row in the pole. He said that was the key to his win. So if he's wanting to do that tomorrow again, then he needs to be back up on the pole.
He's back up on top at the moment.
By again, 4/10. Look at that. That's a big chunk of time.
EJ Viso is currently 5th. Viso's best start this year was at St. Petersburg, 9th, so he has already eclipsed that mark. This will be his best starting position for 2010.
He improved his time slightly, but stayed 5th. Let's see how much he hammers the curve right there. Yep, sure enough. It was interesting, Will Power stayed wide of that curve while he was warming up. He only pounds over it when he's going for a hot one.
We knew the KV cars, who EJ drives for the KV cars, Jimmy Vassar, part of that ownership group, were pretty quick with having Tracy up in the top 10. You had Marias that was running good. You had Sato that was running good. So, you know, EJ, it's good to see EJ transfer to this top Firestone Fast 6.
And while you were talking, Robbie, Castro Neves went to the top, but by the time you finished, Will Power took it back. So you had a switch back and forth between teammates. Will Power has now bettered his time by only 1/10 quicker than Castro Neves.
Looks like it could be a battle among the Penske drivers for the front row. Right now, Power and Castro Neves are there. Dixon and Franchitti for Target. Chip Ganassi Racing currently 3rd and 4th.
And he's 2/10 up. So if Castro Neves can deliver the end of this lap, he should go back to the top. He got a little wide there.
Yep, he didn't make it.
And that was, go back to the, what's that, 0.05 of a second.
Yep.
He got just a little bit, you could see, just as we took that shot, he was in 11 and 12, Robbie. You could see him getting a little bit of a drift coming off of 12, and man, that's all it takes when you're that tight.
And you'd mentioned earlier about going over the curves. He just absolutely hammered the curb over in turn 2. Now at this point, you just want to power down. It's flat out through that corner right there. Turn 9 onto the back straightaway.
He's never been on the pole here, never won here. He did start outside row number 1 in 2008.
He's not as quick on this lap. He may have lost his golden opportunity there. That may have been the sweet spot. And again, he was up on Power. Coming into those final 2 corners, he was up on him by 2/10, and it doesn't take much of a slip. But is the sweet spot on those tires? Is it gone?
Well, he could come in, make a change to the car, just let the tires cool down a little bit and get back out. Let's see what Dixon's got for him right now with about 5 minutes to go.
Yep, halfway through the session already. Here is Scott Dixon, currently 3rd. And the Rain is staying away.
Bob, as we watch Scott Dixon all week long, you got the sense as you talk to Scott and his team that they're beginning to feel some of the championship chase pressure. They know their teammate Dario Franchitti right now is in a good position, but that a series of mishaps have left them in a bit of a racing funk. I talked to him, and off the record, one of the team members said to me, this is a make or break weekend for us. If we have any aspirations of winning the IndyCar title, we have got to put in a good showing here. You can tell the way he's attacking this racetrack, the Iceman cometh. He knows it too.
And now, Jack, he's gapping himself.
Yeah.
Just as you finished that report, Jack, he had seen on the dash that he didn't have the lap that he wanted, and he backed off what we call gapping. It's not too difficult to gap yourself when there's only 3 cars on the racetrack at the moment.
and you can look left or right when you're on these straightaways and look around and say, oh, there's where so-and-so is, there's where XYZ is. And, you know, these guys do have segment times on their dash if they want it, so he knows what his plus minus is. And if he is on a lap to improve, he can say, hey, this is a perfect time to dump the throttle, let the tires cool down, and give himself, you know, the space he needs on the track to not get held up by anybody.
This is Ryan Briscoe.
Where Briscoe is just talented, his ability to trail the brake pedal and his feel of that race car when you're hard on the braking and trailing off the brakes to balance the race car and control where the weight is in it.
3 minutes to go, Robbie.
Yeah, and Elio Castor-Evans, I was talking to his strategist, Tim Cindric. I said, does he have any more left? You know, Jan was talking about maybe missing that sweet spot. He says, I don't know. We'll see. And I said, do you think he has more left? He said, yeah. And then he tapped me on the shoulder and said, Robbie, I think Will Power has more left, too. He's giggling, but he knows both of the cars are fast.
Hey, Robbie Floyd, I can tell you one driver that knows he has nothing left and seems satisfied with starting in row number 2. Dario Franchitti has vacated his target car. They're taking it back to the barn, and I don't think it's to avoid the rain.
Well, when you know you've got everything out of the car, you've got everything out of the car.
Yep.
Yeah, and payday's tomorrow. So okay, here's we are, guys. Let's shift over to the page for tomorrow and work on race setup.
Down to turn number 11 comes Ryan Briscoe.
So the one driver, Elio, turn 3 there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yep. I was about to say is the one driver that's made it to the Fast 6 all year has been Will Power. And he is the guy leading the charge right now, sitting on the provisional pole.
And here's Will. Going over the bumps.
This, to me, guys, is an incredible stat. When you look at that is Will Power's margins that he was on the pole. So at Barber, he was on the pole by over a half second. And at Long Beach,
almost a half second.
Yeah, I mean, those are big stats. If you went to Roger Penske and you said, hey, I can guarantee you a 1/10 of a second, 1/10, he'd pay you $1 million for that. Well, he's got a pretty good guy in Will Power in terms of his ability and speed that he showed on the road courses. I mean, it's obviously a special talent, especially when you compare him to a Briscoe and an Elio.
Yep.
Those gaps.
1 minute to go.
Power is circulating just slightly slower than his time that he has for the pole, just kind of protecting it.
And he's going to get another lap, too, if he needs it. He'll cross the line before the checkered flag falls.
So, you know what would have been fun is if Elio did have something more. How deep could have this guy right here, Power, gone down and said, okay, you bumped me by a 1/10. You know what? I'm going to show you I'm going to bump you by a 1/10. And it's almost as though he has that ability. His guys say, you know, he's got that unique sense of if he needs that a little bit more, he can always get it. And, you know, he's showing that. He hasn't just talked that. He's done it.
Oh, and Castro-Neves, I don't think is going to make it before the checkered flag because it should be coming out now as it does. So he will not. This is his lap he's going to finish, and he had already backed off.
Yep.
Is power improving, or is he just taking it home right now?
Just taking it home.
Okay.
4/10 behind, but he doesn't need it.
Again, we talk about all those stats of what you gap from first to second or whatever. I mean, those are all great numbers, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what it is. As long as you are quicker than that one guy, that's how it's going to stack up in the order.
What an unbelievable year Will Power is having. It's his 13th career open wheel pole, and Jack is with Clive Howell.
The guy that seems to be in the spotlight all the time. Clive, what is it about this driver that he takes to these road courses and attacks them the way he does?
He just goes fast. What can I say? I mean, he just does what you tell him, and everything's fine. You know, it's nice that we end up, you know, fighting with our teammate is arguably not the right thing to do, but we end up. No, these guys, you know, Will and David and Robbie here, great crew, good guys.
This is a team that came together to fulfill a commitment that Roger Penske made when Will Power filled in for Helio Castroneves. And now all of a sudden you guys, for the lack of a better term, are the top dog, at least when it comes to road courses. What about back in the Charlotte shop? Are there some bragging rights going on?
We all work together, you know. There's
That's not what I asked you.
There's some of that going on, but you know, it's the nature of the business. It's competitive, and everybody wants to win. Everyone wants to do well. You know, we just happen to be, you know, in the sunshine right now. Speaking of which, probably going to rain here pretty quick. So.
Yeah, they want to get that. But I want to show you one thing. Clive Howell may be short in stature and need a little boost here, but I'll tell you, he's the big man today here in Edmonton, along with his driver, Will Power.
Well, Will is out of the car, but when he was in it, he drove the car to the limit. Will Power wins his 8th career in the IZOD IndyCar Series, his 6th pole this year, and look at him jump over the curbs and pound away, but it was enough to win the pole position, his 3rd here at Edmonton in the last 4 years. The Tour de France concludes live on Versus tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock Eastern with the 20th and final stage. Alberto Contador leads Andy Schleck into the final stage through Paris and the Champs-Élysées. I waited all afternoon to say that. The Tour de France, the most epic race ever, only on Versus. Well, the rain stayed away. Man, it looks bad, doesn't it? A lot of lightning around, but the guy who was the man of the hour, the afternoon, as a matter of fact, Will Power. Here's Robbie Floyd.
Man of the hour, Will Power. That's got a rhyme. That kind of rhymes, Bob. But you make every Firestone Fast 6 this year, and now it's your 6th Peak Performance Pole Award. I mean, these road and street courses are unbelievable with you driving.
Yep, I have to say it was very close this time, but awesome to get the Verizon car another pole. You know, it's a long day tomorrow. There's a lot of action around this track, so I just know from last year it's important to start up the front. And, you know, hopefully there's not too many yellows falling at the wrong time. I think it'll be in good shape.
Clive Howell said you could take the day off, but you had one heck of a work day today. It's tough. It's rough out there. You complained to me before just how bumpy and rough it is.
It is. I just knew when they sent me out to do another lap after, you know, Elio had set a time so close, I just thought, man, that was tough. That was really tough.
Tim Cindric said Elio might have had a little bit left. Did you have anything left there at the end?
I think the tires didn't have much left. I mean, when they knew they have such a good bite and a lot of grip, so yeah, I mean, I couldn't go any quicker.
Congratulations, the $10,000 check presented to Will Power for another Peak Performance Pole Award.
Well, I'm standing next to Helio Castroneves, and you've been cracking me up over here because you've been growling and everything else. Now, I heard you want to start calling Will William, so it's not Will Power anymore.
Exactly. Enough of Will Power. Let's go for William. But let me tell you, this guy is really make me a better driver because the way he push all the time, it makes me push all the time. And actually, not only myself, but Ryan as well. So it's a great... I'm actually very happy to have him in the team. I understand he's beating everybody, including us, but it makes us to go for it, you know. And today it was awesome. It was just so close. In fact, we did have a good lap. Unfortunately, I was like, I have it, and unfortunately, I ended up making a little mistake. But the good news is, both of us are right up there, and now we can win race from there as well. So we're gonna have a good car. Car is great, so. That was good. That was good.
Elio, thank you. And He wants that win, Jack, because he has finished second here the past 2 years.
Well, and as we said, Dario Franchitti, who certainly thought he had a legitimate shot at the pole, kind of pulled the pins a little early, and it wasn't because of the weather. And now you're getting with Chris Simmons and looking, if you got in your own mind where you can maybe find just a little bit more come race day.
Well, the problem we had in the Fast 6 was that we'd already used both sets of our reds, so we were going out there in reds, and I think Will, Scott, and possibly Elio had new reds, so we ended up right behind Scott there, and he was on new and we were on new, so it wasn't a terrible session from that point of view. Still missing a little bit though with the target car, just a fraction. So now we're putting our brains into gear for the race tomorrow and see what we can come up with. So we've got to keep up with Montoya there, sticking it on pole at the Brickyard. So yeah, it's going to be a long night, I think, of just trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that, because you had a long night the night before and in the first practice session at Toronto 1 week ago. When things don't go exactly the way a team likes them to go, what does the driver do from a leadership position?
Well, we first of all grab the folder with all the secrets in it. You know, that's Chris and I guess that's part of our job, and Barry, obviously, he's with Chip not here this weekend. Barry's is in charge of the 10 car. We're just got to keep everybody fighting, keep their head in the game, and that's, you know, motivation is not an issue here. We want to win. The problem is sometimes we want to win too badly, and we're not good losers.
No, you shouldn't be a good loser. Listen, like, you need to go take cover. Rain is coming, guys. Severe thunderstorm watch, as they say in the States, is now in effect.
Yeah, it sure looks bad, but it did hold off in order that we can get this qualifying session completed. There are the top 10. Power Castro Neves on the front row. The Target Chip Ganassi drivers on row number 2. And by the way, the Target Chip Ganassi driver in the Sprint Cup Series, NASCAR, Juan Pablo Montoya won the pole for tomorrow's Brickyard 400. Briscoe and Viso will start in row 3. Simona Di Silvestro and Ryan Hunter-Reay in the 4th row, and Justin Wilson and Rafa Matos in row number 5. Hideki Muto and Scheckter, finishing in 12th in qualifying.
And for Tracy, he's another guy that's driving for KV. We saw him in the top 6 before qualifying today, so we were kind of surprised to see him back that far. But come race day, Tracy's as good as anybody.
Now, when you talk about the last page, at the very back there, or nearly at the back, Tony Kanaan, who did not even get an opportunity to complete a timed lap, is another one that you would think could be moving through the field. So some surprises midfield, and certainly some surprises at the back.
And that's a big frustration for TK, you know that.
It's Simona Di Silvestro's best career start. EJ Viso, his second best career start, best of 2010.
When two campers don't see eye to eye, it's time to... IZOD IndyCar qualifying on Versus is presented by Peak Performance Products. When you peak, you win.
Welcome back to Edmonton, Alberta. In some areas, it is looking pretty good weather-wise, but in other areas, it looks very rainy. But the qualifying session was concluded with no rain coming down. Now we look forward to tomorrow's race, and here are the overall points after 10 of 17 races with Franchitti, a 43-point deficit from Will Power. Scott Dixon is 3rd in the championship. Briscoe, Ryan Hunter-Reay, and Elio Castroneves are all within 100 points of Will Power. Tony Kanaan, Justin Wilson, Dan Weldon, and Marco Andretti complete the top 10 in points after this race. Now, as far as the road course championship is concerned, Will Power now has an 86-point lead on Ryan Hunter-Reay, and if Will Power can leave tomorrow with a 106-point advantage, he will clinch the road course championship already with 2 races to go. So it has indeed been a Will Power year. The question is, can he win another one tomorrow? He has won the Peak Pole Award here this afternoon. Coming up next, Lance Armstrong, the look back. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for the Edmonton Indy at 5 o'clock Eastern. For more information on the IZOD IndyCar Series, go to Versus.com. Congratulations to Will Power, the Peak Pole winner. For Robbie Floyd, Lindy Thaxton, Jack Arute, Robbie Buell, and Jan Bikas, I'm Bob Jenkins. We'll see you tomorrow at 5 o'clock Eastern on Versus.